Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Perfect English with Mamta. On this channel, I explain prose, poetry, and grammar in the simplest way possible, helping you understand concepts clearly and write perfect answers in your exams. Let's start today's lesson and enjoy learning English like never before.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the deeply emotional journey of a mother and daughter captured perfectly in Kamala Das's powerful poem, My Mother at 66. To really get this piece, you kind of have to know that Kamala Das, who often went by the pen name Madhavikudi, was a total trailblazer of confessional poetry in Indian English literature. She literally never shied away from raw, unfiltered emotion. So we're unpacking a moment that's incredibly intimate, yet honestly so universally understood. Just a simple car ride to the airport. But what happens inside the poet's mind during this short trip? Well, it turns into this profound exploration of love, aging, and those quiet terrors we keep hidden from the people we care about the most. Have you ever experienced that sudden, deep fear of losing an aging loved one? It's a completely jarring feeling, right? It usually hits you out of absolute nowhere. You might just be sitting across from them at dinner, doing some mundane chore, or, like in this case, just riding in a car. And suddenly you look over and you really notice their fragility. You see the subtle changes time has carved into them. That exact, chilling realization is what sparks the emotional transit we're looking at today. The poet is just starting a totally routine Friday morning drive to the Cochin airport with her aging mother. But in a split second, this intense fear takes hold of her, transforming a completely mundane commute into this heavy existential reflection on mortality. So picture this. She's sitting there in the passenger seat and she glances over at her mom beside her. The older woman is dozing, her mouth just resting open in sleep. And the poet describes her mother's face using this absolutely devastating simile, pale like a corpse. I mean, just imagine the sheer psychological weight of that. In the quiet, confined space of a car, you're looking at the very person who gave you life, who nurtured you, and suddenly you're confronted with this stark image of death. Her mother looks so incredibly weak, ashen and pale, and it triggers this deep realization that her mom's time is slipping away. It's this crushing moment of sadness that literally brings the reality of death right into the passenger seat beside her. Now, here is where it gets really interesting. The poet attempts this desperate psychological pivot to escape those agonizing thoughts. The reality inside the car becomes way too heavy to bear. So what does she do? She literally just turns her head away and looks out the window. And the contrast she creates here is so deliberate and sharp. Inside the car, her aging mother represents this inescapable approach of death and stagnation. But outside, she sees what she calls sprinting trees, which is just a brilliant use of personification to show how fast time flies, and happy children spilling out of their homes to play. It's the absolute antithesis of the car's interior. The outside world is just bursting with the vibrant energy of youth and life. She's desperately trying to distract her mind from the decay inside by focusing on all that vitality outside. But, that distraction can only last for so long. Eventually, they get to the airport, pass through security, and that inevitable moment of physical separation arrives. Standing just a few yards away, the poet looks at her mother one last time before leaving, and she sees her looking terribly weak, comparing her this time to a fading winter moon. It's such a haunting simile, and it carries so much weight. Think about it. A winter moon is cold. It lacks the warmth of summer, and it's usually obscured by mist, much like how vitality gets obscured by old age. Seeing her mother diminish like this entirely reawakens her primal childhood fear of separation. It's that terrifying little girl ache of losing her mom, but now it's magnified by the very real adult understanding of mortality. And this brings us to the profound facade of strength the daughter puts on. Despite all that overwhelming internal terror we just talked about, look at what she actually does. First, she completely hides her inner sadness. She refuses to let even a single tear fall. Instead, she masks her panic. The poem doesn't just say she smiled, it famously repeats it. She smiles and smiles and smiles. It's a totally desperate repetition. Then she makes a deliberate promise they'll meet again, saying, "See you soon, Amma." She is masking this chaotic, agonizing inner turmoil just to offer a final piece of hopeful comfort to her aging mother. It's a deeply selfless act of love, right? She swallows her own dread so her mom doesn't have to carry the heavy burden of her daughter's panic. Okay, so here is the crucial point, and it's this stunning structural twist Kamala Das uses. Everything we just walked through, the car ride, that horrifying realization, looking out the window, the security check, the childhood fear, and those final forced smiles, all of it is written as one single, long, continuous sentence. In poetry, this heavy use of enjambment creates a powerful stream of consciousness. Sure, there are commas, but there is literally not a single full stop until the very end of the poem. And that is definitely not an accident. The structure of the poem itself is the ultimate reflection of her psychological state. It perfectly mirrors the chaotic, unbroken reality of living through a moment of acute anxiety. The reason for this single-sentence structure makes total sense when you look at the emotions at play. She isn't feeling these things one at a time, patiently waiting their turn. No, it's a simultaneous rush. Love, fear, sadness, worry, hope, they are all colliding at the exact same time. She fiercely loves her mother, she's terrified of losing her, she deeply grieves her physical weakness, she's panicked about the future, yet she's projecting this relentless hope through her smiles. These intense, cascading emotions come rushing into her mind all at once. Because let's face it, the human mind doesn't neatly compartmentalize panic and grief into organized little boxes. It floods your entire nervous system. It completely overwhelms you, leaving no room to even pause or breathe. And because of that emotional flood, the poem itself simply cannot pause. It moves forward breathlessly, exactly like her emotional journey. The deliberate lack of punctuation perfectly captures the panicked, unstoppable rush of her racing thoughts. She can't stop the fear, she can't stop the car. She absolutely can't stop time from aging her mother. That single, unbroken sentence forces us to consume the poem in the exact same breathless, anxious way she's experiencing the moment. There's this relentless forward momentum that just cannot be halted. It's an absolute masterclass in aligning poetic form with raw human feeling, making us viscerally feel the rising panic of time slipping away. Which brings us to a final, lingering question for you to ponder. Think back to those desperate, repeated smiles at the airport security check. What masks do we wear to protect the ones we love when saying goodbye? We kind of all do it, don't we? We project strength when we feel entirely fragile. We offer certainty when we are actually completely terrified inside. And we do all of this just to spare our loved ones from our own anxiety. It really leaves us to deeply reflect on the brave faces we all put on, especially as we watch our parents age. Well, thank you for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.